This is it. Raising Royalty Part 2. And in this video, I'm going to talk about you and your kids' greatest asset, especially for investing. And it's not cash. So we're going to get into that, which is going to be powerful. It's going to be a really, really good session. And gave you guys some homework last night as well. So the homework that you had last night was answering this question, what do you want? Good to see you guys, and once again, it's fantastic to have everyone on board this adventure, this Raising Royalty training. Really delighted to be sharing this journey with you. And stunning day where I am. Ta-da! Everything's looking good and beautiful. Just very nice. Staying at my parents-in-law at the moment. So what we're going to be doing in this session is, one, I'm going to touch base with you on your homework, see how you went on your homework from part 1, and then we're going to be talking about your greatest asset and your kids' greatest asset, which is a non-cash asset. So I'm really excited to be talking about that. And then we're also going to jump on board and touch base on some ancient Jewish financial principles, which is what sets them up to be disproportionately successful in the area of finances and investments. So why don't you say disproportionately successful? If you like the idea of being disproportionately successful, then this video is for you. If you like the idea of not throwing away your kids' greatest financial asset, if you like the idea of not throwing away their greatest opportunity for financial freedom before they leave school, then this video is for you, okay? So we're going to jump into that. But homework, last night, it was just wonderful, that last video with Z. So honoured to have her in my life. What a wonderful lady she is, an absolute legend and a great friend. But what we talked about last night is, what do you actually want? And we talked about Ephesians 3:20, that God has for you this dream, this in his heart there's a dream that you would do above and beyond all that you could ever ask, dream, or hope to imagine. Now, how wild is that? That's extreme, extravagant, just wild stuff. So, but to actually step into that, you have to start defining it. You have to start writing it down, start getting really clear on what it is that you really want. And so that was part of your homework. So how did you do on defining and answering that question, what do you want? And then the next question is living in that life, actually living that life, living out that life of your wildest dreams. What is that worth to you? What value would you put on that? You know, students literally spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on their education because they put that level of value on their education, because they believe that education is going to get them what they want, which is generally a job, and they're hoping that job is going to pay them an income, and that income is going to produce a lifestyle that's going to have them living their dreams. So they put a value of hundreds of thousands of dollars often on their education. So for you in your life and your journey, what value have you put on the fruition of your dreams, on actually living out the fulfillment of your dreams? That's the question. That was last night's homework. So how did you go on that? Would love to encourage you just to really focus in on answering those questions well. I believe that question, what do you want, is one of the, possibly the second most powerful question that you could ever ask yourself and you could ever answer. If you did a great job on answering that question, wow, you're really setting yourself up for success. So let's talk about your kid's greatest asset right now. Now, if you don't understand this, if you don't understand that this is your kid's greatest financial asset, then you're in danger of being like most people who aren't in royalty or aren't in upper class. They actually throw away their kids' greatest financial asset. Now, that asset, it's not cash, it's not a mindset, it's not a system, it's actually time. Your kid, you know, from the time you're born till the time you're 18 or 20, you really don't require a whole lot of money, especially if you're living in your parents' house. Now, if you're in different kind of circumstances, then you won't. But if you're a parent watching this, then you're most likely quite happy to have your kids in your home for 18 to 20 years. So listen, that's 18 to 20 years where a financial investment could be developing for them. If you're investing and you've got a lot of money, then you can make a great return in a short space of time. But if you're investing and you only have a little bit of money, then the only way you can generally, the best way to get a really good return off your little bit of money is to utilize time. So what I want to say is that your kids' time asset is absolutely priceless, because if you steward your kids' time asset, you can invest a really, really small amount, and you could set up a financial system for your kids right now using a small amount of money that over time can build and accrue and create a residual income for them that actually creates financial independence before they leave school. Now, this is the thing, if you use time and you use that time to invest in a system that is going to produce finance while you sleep, like royalty does, right? So this is one of the things we talked about with royalty, is that they have this mindset that they never put the idea in their kids' mind, like, okay, go and study for a long time so that you can go into debt and then you can get a job and then you can make money. They don't do that. They put the idea in their kids' head that we can invest for you into a financial system that makes money while you sleep, so that you have got all the resources that you need, that enables you to use your time to actually live out your dreams and your calling. And for royalty, that enables them they don't have to spend all their time working at a job to get money. They've created systems that produce money that allows them to rule over their country. And for you and I, that's what we're called for. We're called to rule and reign. We're called to be doing phenomenal creative things that actually disciple nations. But if we're running around all the time trying to raise money, we won't be able to fulfill our calling to actually step into that place, because we'll be too busy trying to get money. But if you're making money while you sleep, then you've got all the time, all the energy at your disposal to invest yourself in your passions and your dreams and fulfill the Ephesians 2:20 calling on your life, which is exciting, right? So that's it. Now, how can you, if you realize the value, okay, if you realize the value of the time asset that your kids had, you wouldn't throw it away. If you realize that the actual value of your kids' time asset, that 18 to 20 years from the time they're born to the time that they're really going to start launching out, if you realize that the value of that, let me ask you this question, if you realize that the value of that time asset was literally priceless, worth millions of dollars, would you throw it away? I ask you that because I do not believe that the majority, the average parent has realized the value of the time asset that their children have. It's a non-cash asset, so it's easy to overlook it and realize, they don't have much going for them, but that time asset is absolutely priceless. Now, if you people, you talk to people and they say, when's the best time to invest? 20 years ago, they would say. But the second best time to invest is right now. And I want to say that for you, that if you haven't invested 20 years ago, then the very, very, very best time to invest is immediately, right now. So question is, have you got something going for your kids? We're going to transition now and talk about the Jewish financial principles that make them disproportionately successful in the area of finances. Now, if you look all around the world, the Jewish people consistently, it doesn't matter what context you put Jewish people in, they seem to thrive financially. It doesn't matter, if they're being persecuted, it doesn't matter if they're living in a ghetto, it doesn't matter if they're, being oppressed by people, they somehow seem to rise up and above financially. They just seem to thrive financially. Now, is it because they're blessed? Well, they're blessed and they've got favor, but here's one of the things about royalty, is royalty doesn't rely solely on favor. And you as an individual, you don't want to rely solely, when it comes to finances and actually living your dreams, you don't want to rely solely on the favor of God. Now, I love the favor of God. I lean into the favor of God. I want more of the favor of God on my life. but there's something that will actually even take the favor of God on your life to another level, and that thing that will take the favor of God on your life to another level and actually give you something else that can exponentially multiply the favor of God on your life is actually wisdom. Now wisdom produces witty inventions. Wisdom produces freedom. Wisdom has the ability, the capacity. If you embrace and encounter wisdom in your life, and you implement wisdom in your life, wisdom will always give you a system that enables you to thrive. Wisdom will always give you a way, a strategy, a system. Wisdom will give you a mindset, and that mindset will produce a system, and that system will produce freedom. And that system will actually multiply the favor on your life. And so for the Jewish people, they've got this system that makes them disproportionately successful in the area of finances, and actually multiplies the favor of God on their life. It multiplies the opportunities, it multiplies their freedom. So let me tell you about it. It's called the 5-jar principle. We do this with our kids, and I love teaching this 5-jar principle. And some of you, if you've tracked with us, may have heard me talk about this before. But the 5-jar principle is about dividing your money up. Now, before I jump into that, let me ask you, could you live off 50% of your income? Let me ask you this. Would you like to hear a story? I'm going to tell you anyway, but would you like to hear the secret behind the story of the kid when he finished high school who went out and bought his own house with cash? Not his parents' money, his own money that he raised while he was at school, because he embraced this concept of creating a system, a financial system, and he also embraced the 5-jar principles, the 5-jar system. So New Zealanders live on average off 113% of our weekly income. Now 113% of our weekly income, living off that is going to set us up for a massive amount of failure in our lives. All right, you do the maths. We're going backwards. The average person in New Zealand, the average person in the West, their financial system takes them backwards because they live off 113%. You can never get ahead. So the 5-jar system is you tithe 10%, you put 10% in the offering, which in that offering you're just giving it away to people. So 10% goes into tithes, 10% goes into offering, we're just blessing people. Our kids love doing that. They love just going, and a portion of their money, they get to go and buy presents for people, they bless people, they do cool things with it. Then 10% of your money goes into savings. And now 20%, this is the ancient Jewish principle that's got biblical foundations. And I was talking to my friend, she's a rabbi, she's a Jewish rabbi, and she's all about it. They derive this financial principles from their understanding of the Bible. And so 10% goes to tithe, 10% goes to offering, 10% goes to savings, and 20% of their income goes into investments. 20% goes into investments, and then they live off 50%. Now, when I first heard about that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. And the reason that I couldn't do it, and the reason that most people right now couldn't just live off 50%, is because we didn't start when we're kids. Now, you've got to start the system for it to have its maximum impact on your life. You've got to start the 5-jar system when you're a kid, because if you start it when you're a kid, what will happen is you actually start building financial momentum in your life. So, you're tithing, you're offering. So that's establishing phenomenal mindsets. Even just the mindset of generosity, it's giving you that mindset of generosity, which is amazing. All right, generosity is going to hugely bless you. Generosity actually, it blesses your brain, it blesses so much of you. So generosity, and then so 10% to tithe, 10% to offering, 10% to savings. This is establishing phenomenal financial principles and disciplines in the life of your kid that's going to keep building them up towards having financial freedom and financial momentum on their life. And here's the cool thing, right? 20% gets put into investments. 20% gets put into investments, and then they live off 50%. Now, if you factor in as well the value of your kid's time asset, if your kid is doing this from the time they're like 0, if they're getting birthday money, boom, tithes, offerings, savings, investments, and spend. All right, so if we do this with our 2-year-old. We do this with all of our kids. We sit down, we take their money, we divide it, we put it into each of their jars, and they go and give some money to church. They go and bless people. They go and they are investing with us. As we go on, I'm going to show you financial investment systems that we've got for our kids. They're investing. They're working in business with us. I got them in the family business, and you want to have your own type of family business, something that creates money while you're sleeping for your kids, something that they can do on the side. In fact, our next video is going to be how you can make 10K a month on the side. A bunch of different ways that you can make 10K a month on the side as a side hustle through a range of different things. And I want to talk to you about systems that make money while you sleep, because there's a whole bunch of dumb systems that will waste your time and money. But now let's think about this. When I first heard about this 5-jar system, I could not immediately switch. All right, it takes time. It takes time because the value of your time asset, if you start this when you're a little kid, then your 50% that you're supposed to be living off and spending is actually really, really big. You can actually afford to live off 50%, whereas New Zealanders barely afford to live off 113% of their weekly income. And that's because that's the only income stream that they have. But for the Jewish people, they don't just have that one income stream that might be coming from their job, and they might not even have a job, but they've been investing since they were little kids, and 20% of all their income gets invested to create other, like, multiple sources of income. So you've got multiple income streams coming in, which means every week your percentage of what you're actually getting in is increasing. That's the dynamic for us, and I'm loving the mindsets that it's giving to our kids. Our kids now talk. Someone asked, a kid of any age can have a bank account, so you can open up a bank account at any age. All of our kids have bank accounts. All of our kids are a part of the family business. All of our kids are investing. All of our kids are saving, they're tithing, they're offering, and they're all spending. They just got to go away with their grandparents, and they took their own money and bought their own stuff, and they were absolutely wrapped. Now, just to wrap up for today, I want to ask you a question. The last question I want to ask you is, how are you doing it for yourself in terms of percentages? What percentage of your income are you tithing? What percentage of your income you just give away through offerings just to bless people? What percentage of your income are you saving? What percentage of your income are you investing? All right? What percentage of your income are you investing? And then what percentage of your income do you live off? How much of your income does it take you to live off? And I'll give you a life hack for something that helped us transition, right? If you're caught in that mode of living off 113% of your income, if you're caught in that mode where the whole idea of being able to, like, give away 20% of your income through tithes and offerings, or the concept of saving 10%, or the concept of investing 20%, if that's just not possible, here's one life hack that I'll chuck out to you to get things started for yourself. The life hack that I'll chuck out is that you don't have to start with those numbers, all right? Start by embracing the principle. Start by embracing the mindset, because you just start with what you can, start by investing, just a small amount. If all you could do was invest, if all you could do was tithe $1, if all you could do was give away $1 to someone, spend, in the offering, if all you could do was save $1, if all you could do was invest $2, if that's all you could do, then start by doing that. Start by embracing the principle. And what's going to happen as you embrace the principle is your mindsets are going to shift. And it might start very, very slowly, but as you actually put those things aside for savings, put those things aside for investments, and if you don't have anything to invest in right now, then what you might want to do is put your savings and your investment into a bank account until you get an opportunity for something to invest in. And then when that opportunity comes, you're prepared for it because you've been saving money. You've got, and that's for us, like our savings. What do we save it up for? You might save your savings up to just spend it. But for me, I and my wife, when we save up and we've got some savings there, we usually actually just turn around and invest that savings. We're like, man, what do we want to do? We don't generally just waste our money on stuff. We would generally reinvest. We go, okay, right, I'm going to take that take that savings, and then I'm going to drop that savings into an area where I'm going to actually, it's going to get reinvested. And so what ends up happening is that your investments start returning for you. And then the whole dynamic of, like, could you make $10,000 in a month? Could you make $10,000 in a month as a side hustle while you're sleeping without actually doing anything? That actually starts to become a reality. It starts to become something that you can actually accomplish, something you can achieve, something that can become not a distant thing way out there, but actually starts becoming your normal. And then, you know, you start to be able to come to this place where you can actually live off a much smaller percentage of your income, because your percentage is bigger. You know, like, it's just a simple concept. You know, if you're earning $10,000 a month versus if you're earning $2,000 a month, you know, your percentages are bigger, and so it's easier to live off 50% of 10,000 than it is to live off 50% of 2,000. So let's just summarize this up. Your kid's greatest time investment, and it's also one of your greatest, one of your greatest assets. Sorry, your kid's greatest asset. One of their greatest assets is time. It's also one of your greatest assets is also time. But for your kids, that first 20 years of their life is it's absolutely priceless. That is one of the greatest spaces and greatest opportunities for you to set them up to be financially free, is to create for them, just like royalty do, just like the upper class do. They set in place systems that are making money while they sleep for their kids. They don't expect their 2-year-olds to create all this. They do it with them. They do it for them. They set them up. They create the systems. They invest their money for them on their behalf. Our kids don't invest their money. We invest our money on our kids' behalf. We set the systems up for them because this is how we're raising royalty. But in the process, they're learning the mindsets. We talk them through. We talk them through it. Even, you know, they're like my 2-year-old. We talk her through the process. This is what we're doing. This is what we're investing your money in. This is where it's going. This is what we're doing. You can spend this much, give this much, tithe this much, all those things. So talk through with your kids. Make sure that you don't throw away. Just one of the last things that, like, I really, really want to get through to you is to value that time asset of your children, and do not throw it away. So that's us for today. Your homework is do some maths and figure out what percentage of your income you are tithing, you are offering, you are saving, you are investing, and that you are spending or you're living off. So you guys jump into that. Look forward to going live again tomorrow. Tomorrow, you're going to love it. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about some practical things. We're going to hear some stories from some people who are really doing this. They're actually, you know, they've created these systems that make money while they sleep, and they are crushing it. And for them, making $10,000 a month, you know, through a system that works while they're sleeping is pretty easy. It's almost effortless. They do it all the time. And then I'm also going to just chuck around a whole bunch of different ways how you could raise $10,000 a month on the side as a little side business that you can set up for yourself, for your kids, and so just going to explore some of those ways. There's lots of different ways that you could do it. We'll chuck some of those ideas out there. Just want to get you thinking about that. But bless you. Remember, your time asset is priceless. That time asset of your kids is absolutely priceless. It's worth, I would say, millions of dollars. This is your greatest opportunity to set your kids up for financial freedom, is while they're at school, before they leave school, and boom, get them to that point that when they want to leave school, they can be like royalty, where royalty's not going out hustling, trying to get a job on the side and then rule the kingdom, you know, with the little bit of energy they've got left at the end of the week after they've spent themselves in their job. So, bless you guys. We'll see you tomorrow for a fantastic live. Watch the events, and if you're in the Raising Royalty thing, you've signed up for it, watch your emails. I'll be sending extra content out to your emails, and we'll see you guys very soon. Bless you. Bye-bye.